Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Now today's story is one of those wild, hard to believe moments that mixes politics, controversy, and yes, a shocking tragedy. We're talking about Charlie Kirk, a man who built an empire of college tours, fiery debates, and nonstop headlines, and how it all came crashing down in a way nobody saw coming. This isn't just news, it's a roller coaster of ambition, enemies, and unanswered questions. So grab a seat, stick with me, and let's dive into the story that everyone's talking about. And of course, I want to hear your take in the comments. Because trust me, you'll have a lot to say after this one. Charlie Kirk's journey started young. He wasn't born into fame or political power, but he had a sharp sense of direction. As a teenager, he co founded Turning Point USA, an organization meant to bring conservative ideas onto college campuses. What started small turned into a massive operation across America, with chapters in schools, a media machine, and a platform that made Charlie one of the loudest voices for conservative youth. He wasn't just a behind the scenes organizer, Charlie was a showman. He traveled all over the country, hosting events, debates, and college tours with catchy names that drew both fans and critics. If you went to a university event where Charlie Kirk was speaking, you knew two things were guaranteed: a fired up crowd and a heated argument. That was his style: direct, bold, and often controversial. Charlie also built himself into a media figure. From radio shows to podcasts, from online clips to TV interviews, he knew how to grab attention. His message was unapologetically conservative, talking about free speech, small government, American values, and his strong support for Trump era politics. For his supporters, he was a voice who dared to say what others wouldn't. For his critics, he was a lightning rod who stoked division. But no matter which side you were on, one thing was certain: Charlie Kirk knew how to stay relevant. Every tour, every TV appearance, every speech. It kept his name in the headlines and his voice in the conversation. And that visibility came with both fans who admired him and enemies who despised him. Then came the day that stunned the country. Charlie was in Utah speaking at a campus event. The crowd was lively, the questions were rolling, and it seemed like another one of his trademark appearances. Suddenly, a gunshot rang out. In seconds, chaos erupted. Students screamed, people ducked for cover, and Charlie fell, hit in the neck. He was rushed to the hospital, but the wound proved fatal. Just like that, one of the most controversial voices in American politics was gone. The reactions poured in immediately. Politicians, commentators, and even world leaders sent messages of shock and condolences. Many condemned the act as an attack on free speech and democracy itself. Others saw it as the tragic but inevitable result of the angry climate Charlie operated in. Social media lit up with debates, theories, and mourning. And of course, questions began to swirl. Why would someone target Charlie Kirk? What was the motive? While investigators will have to confirm, let's walk through some of the possibilities that people are talking about. First, politics. Charlie was as polarizing as they come. His speeches were sharp, his criticism direct, and he called out professors, administrators, and politicians by name. That kind of boldness makes friends, but it also creates enemies. It's possible that someone somewhere felt so attacked by him that they turned violent. Second, his organization and its controversies. Turning Point USA wasn't just about speeches. It was also about big donors, big influence, and big moves in American politics. That kind of visibility can make you a target, especially if someone feels your work harmed them or their community. Third, personal encounters. Charlie's Q&A sessions were famous for heated back and forth exchanges with students. It's possible one of those encounters stuck with someone who later decided to take revenge. And fourth, extremism. In today's world, lone actors sometimes commit violence simply to make a statement, to be seen, or to send a message. A public figure like Charlie was a high profile target, and attackers know the world would pay attention. Now, none of this is confirmed. These are just the theories floating around. But when you put together Charlie's personality, his tours, his controversies, and the sheer number of people he confronted publicly, you can see why investigators will have a long list of possibilities to sort through. At the same time, it's important not to forget the human side. Charlie wasn't just a political operator. He was a husband, a father, and a son. He had people who loved him and who now have to live with this loss. Politics aside, that's heartbreaking. Imagine being at dinner one night with your family, and the next day it's all taken away. That's the part of the story that cuts through all the noise. Of course, some have joked that if Charlie himself were still here, he'd probably turn even this into a headline. He had that kind of personality, someone who could take any controversy and spin it into publicity. It's dark humor, yes, but in some ways, it shows how he lived. Always in the center of the conversation, always pushing his narrative forward. So, what comes next? Investigations will look at who fired the shot, what the motive was, and whether this was a lone act or something bigger. They'll dig into the suspect's background, social media, and connections. They'll ask hard questions about campus security, about safety at political events, and about how polarized our society has become. And we, the public, are left to reflect. What does this say about free speech in America, about the dangers of political division, and about how we treat those we disagree with? These are questions worth asking, and ones I want you to weigh in on in the comments. In the end, Charlie Kirk's story is one of ambition, controversy, and tragedy. He built a movement from scratch, turned himself into a national figure, and left behind a complicated legacy that people will debate for years to come. Love him or hate him, his death is a reminder that political violence has no winners, only grief, division, and questions that may never be fully answered. So, as we close this story, let's keep two things in mind. One, we need to demand the truth from investigators and not jump to conclusions. And two, we need to show compassion to the family he's left behind, who didn't sign up for politics but are now living through the aftermath of it. That's the story of Charlie Kirk. From his rise as a young activist, to his tours and media career, to the shocking moment that ended it all. What do you think really happened? Was this political revenge, personal anger, or something else entirely? Drop your thoughts below it, and remember, keep it respectful. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay thoughtful, and let's all hope for a future where differences are settled with words, not with bullets.